Welcome back here, Totem Pole Nation, on a Throwback Thursday. I'm here on the south side of St. Petersburg, Florida. I got in studio my main man, Johnny Bottles, representing Central Florida. How are you feeling this morning, sir?
Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. Got the coffee hot. I'm ready to roll.
All right, good stuff.
What are we
Good
talking about
stuff.
today? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I think our motto for the day is, just leadership. Leaders, they know the way, they go the way, and they show the way. They leave footprints. And who are some people that you know that have influenced you? People that you worked with. I know you were a delivery guy for a long time. Who was the leader over there, and what makes a good leader to you, Johnny?
A leader over there would be your union shop steward. There's a couple guys that filled that bill. I had that position at one point in time at the end of my tenure there. And a good shop steward will. He was a leader in the fact that they would, if you had a problem, you would go immediately to them, and they can solve your problem for you. If you get fired, if you get laid off, if you have any sort of reprimand towards you from the company, you go see your union shop steward first, and he will handle your problem for you. I learned a lot about business from those guys, a lot about unions and solidarity and brotherhood and all that good stuff. So those guys really influenced me. I would say my father when I was coming up, but he was always working. I mean, he worked a regular job, he worked a nighttime job. So he was, I don't know how he did it. I always said he worked himself into an early grave, but yeah,
Mm.
he was really, he liked the work. I mean, he couldn't sit around for some reason. He wasn't wired that way. Had to constantly be moving. Uh, Probably friends that I work with, camaraderie from those guys. You want to try to gravitate towards people who are in a better situation than you and who can steer you towards a better situation, much like a leader would, shows you the way.
Amen. I've been very blessed with a lot of good coaches in my life. Mike Harefield, he was my first coach when I played for the Salem Church Cowboys. And I want to say this was back in probably
This
84.
that sounds like a biker gang, the Salem Church Cowboys. That sounds sinister, doesn't it? Think about it.
they,
That's sinister.
they are a gang over there in Chesterfield. Everybody knows that gang. But yeah, that was my first football coach. Had a huge influence. After that, it was I had a coach Terry Sorensen that was a couple levels up. Man, he was phenomenal. And both of those coaches, the thing that I loved about those guys, Johnny, is I didn't have that father figure around, and these guys would scoop me up every Saturday, after our game or before our game, and we would go watch other teams play football. And they would always make sure I had a full belly. And most of the times we just go to the football games and play more football. I'd be over there tackling guys on the side, or we'd actually be watching and scouting and stuff like that. So, yeah, those two great leaders. And, they always just made you feel like, the other son, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
they never discriminated. All the kids looked different. They didn't give a crap. They just wanted to have fun. And you were their boys. You know what I mean? You were their boys. And, you mess up, they pull you aside and tell you. That was, great leadership. Then, after that, I kind of move up into the high school ranks. And the thing was at LC Bird, that they're like a fine tuned machine. It was a bunch of gentlemen that moved down to Michigan, and it was amazing to have these guys. They kind of took the blueprint that they learned from up there. The old school kind of Bo Schembechler mentality, lunch pail guys, and
Hmm.
they kept a tight group that all went to that all coached us there. And then there was some alumni that had graduated and went on and played at a higher level. They came back to coach with those guys. So yeah, big shouts out to all those guys. Coach Bland, he was huge, huge. He's still a guy that if I get in a crisis, sometimes I say, man, what would Coach Bland do? Just good leadership. You know what I mean? Just type of gentleman that is never going to freak out.
Hmm.
Never going to flip out when things are, getting a little crazy around you.
Hmm.
And also if you mess up the little thing, they point that out so you can correct that, because that's the thing. The little things are sometimes the things that will make a company fold up and have to sell shop and whatnot. So yeah, just great leadership from those guys. And like you said, it was a camaraderie. Something as small as a fist bump every morning or a high five every once in a while. And through sports is a good way that you've bonded. A lot of those coaches, they had different teams, and you talk smack back and forth, and it forms a good bond. But yeah, man, all of those guys, phenomenal leaders, and all of them were different, and just taught a lot from those guys at an early age. So it's definitely helped me throughout my lifetime.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Yeah. What are leaders appointed, or do they step up naturally?
Yeah, I think with I believe this, like as far as high school football teams, you want to you want your best player to always step up and be a leader.
Hmm.
And in my opinion, he should always want to step up and be a leader. It never really works out like that though, Johnny. In my opinion, the guy that usually is one of the top leaders would be if you threw everybody in a big gauntlet type deal and had a battle
Hmm.
royal, who'd be the last man standing? That
Right.
is who ultimately ends up, in my opinion, usually being like the real leader, the top dog of that team is the guy that is the last one willing to die. You know what I mean? The guy
Right.
that'll just outlast everybody, whether it's just he's got a little bit more heart, a little bit more fire, a little bit more desire, whatever it is. Maybe he's been studying MMA his whole career or something like that. He just happens to play football too, you know.
Hmm.
But that's how it is. That's how I think, man. I think it's the guy that just, he's always there for the workouts. He don't miss the workouts. Like that's part of his rituals. He's got to do that. That's who I think. And usually, it comes from all positions. It can be one of the linemen. It can be one of the defensive backs. You know what I mean?
Here's
It could
one
be
for
that
you.
linebacker.
Here's one for you. What makes a natural born leader? What qualities?
Say that again.
What qualities make a natural born leader?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I know for myself that when you get guys that uh, they have a standard and they have a higher standard than most other people, and a lot of times what I've noticed as well is it happens to be a younger brother. Maybe he had learned from an older brother, or his older brother held him to bigger standards, or he had to play bigger to be hanging out with his big brother. You know what I mean? I think
Right.
that's and one of the names that I think of my guy, Isaiah Wynn, who went over here, played at Lakewood, was all state in the state of Florida. They always said they've been saying he's undersized his whole life, but he ended up going to Georgia at 6'3", 6'3", probably 280, 290, offensive
Hmm.
lineman. And then he played there, he balled out, ended up getting drafted in the first round to the New England Patriots. He had an older brother, Aram, who was just a great athlete, great football player, very smart, very intelligent kid. He had him, kind of over top and being his answer to a lot of the questions that he might have had at that early age, and also I
Hmm.
believe probably helping him stay on the path. You know, so yeah, that's what I've learned. Characteristics. I think it's got to be somebody that is a good communicator. You got to be able to be a good communicator, and you got to play well with others. You know what I mean? You got to be able to talk and communicate with your coaches, and then the maybe the low man on the pole. You got to be able to
That's right.
communicate with those guys as well, and that's what I think. I think communication is probably key. Enthusiasm. Who wants a leader that's going to come out there and talk like this
Oh,
and have their
blase,
head
blase.
down?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we want some fire. You know, we want
Yeah.
somebody passionate. You know, because it's contagious. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're stuck in a room with a bunch of people bouncing off the room that are jacked up off coffee and feeling great and feeling phenomenal. You're gonna walk out that room feeling a lot better if you walked in with your head down and feeling a little upset about yourself,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. 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 Now, what's an example of a famous leader nowadays? Someone that can get the job done.
Oh man. I think if you look into sports, I mean, I think the Patriots probably have one of the all-time greats in Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here in Tampa, man, I mean, we saw it with Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he just came in and it just lit a fire under everybody. And I think when you get a good leader like that, everybody takes a step back and watches and sees what's going on. And they saw him out there being one of the first ones out there, last ones to leave. Just the worth ethic, not just telling the way, but showing it. By doing your own personal reps and stuff like that. Finishing out those reps. But yeah, I would have to say, that would have to be, as far as the sports world. I mean, I think you got to go with Tom Brady. And speaking of that whole deal, we were talking about the women's soccer team and that debacle. There's
Mm.
been a picture going around where you see three of the girls on the team and they're all standing up during the national anthem, and the other girls, are all sitting down with their heads down or bowing or whatever the hell they're doing. But and people circled them and said, leaders step up when losers, don't want to. And it just kind of circled those girls. And I thought that was a good, impactful moment. When are Americans upset at an American team for losing, or are they pulling for an American team to lose? When you have a sad, sad situation like that.
Let me ask you this question, Coach, and this is a fascinating topic. When they lost, it was on everyone's lips that they've lost. Everyone was talking about it on social media, in the news, regular TV. What do the leaders, the celebrities, the leaders, the politicians, do they all think that the American people hate their country? Because the American people love the United States of America. And when anybody, dare I say, sorry, YouTube, shits on the United States of America publicly, they get offended. And these girls who took knees, who sat down for the national anthem, who looked the other way, who checked their phone messages during the playing of the national anthem at their games, those girls were on everyone's radar that they hate America. They've even said that they don't like the United States of America, but they're playing for the women's national soccer team. And the United States people, they don't forget. They're like elephants. They never forget. They always remember that stuff like this goes down. They see pictures of people burning the flag, professional sports players taking knees, disrespecting. Look at Colin Kaepernick. He ruined his entire career by being anti-American, and no one will pick him up now. Not for the fact that he's a good, bad, mediocre quarterback. He can play the game. It's just a matter of I mean I'm in no shape to evaluate his skills, but you are, but I'm not. But he can play the game, but no one wants to hire him because of the blowback that they'll get from the American people. Do you agree or disagree with all this?
Well, I first I want to say this. I love America. I love everything about it. That red, white, blue, that means everything to me. It always is. You're never going to be able to change my mind. When I see it disrespected, it pisses me off. It will make me question everything about you if you disrespect it or you put it down,
Right.
because and that's just because of the gratitude that I have and the history, that what this country and what that flag stands for, and the many, many people that are no longer with us that stood for that, just so we can have exactly what we're having right now. So I love this country, and if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like it, man, nothing. There's not a fence keeping you in here. There's not a reason that you have to stay here.
or
Be
keeping
out,
anybody
get
out.
out of here, bounce, roll out. We
Right.
will, we will see. We will wave bye to you. Is what I got to say to anybody that has to feel like that. This is the greatest place in the world. And I have been very blessed to be able to travel the world. And when you go to other countries, you realize you do not have the same privileges. It is not okay to do some of the things that we do here, and it'll wake you up. It'll wake you up, and you'll love what you're here for. The Brittany Griner, what happened to her?
Mm-hmm.
She got treated just like everybody gets treated over there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
she broke the law. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was. She broke the law,
She broke their
and
law.
yeah, and she could not wait to get back. Ask her what she thinks about this country. You know what I mean? It's a phenomenon. I don't get, and it burns me up when you hear people saying that they hate it here or disrespecting it. If you're going to disrespect it or you hate it here, keep that to yourself because I don't want to hear it. All right, you're going to hear it because I'm gonna bring it back to you. I do not want to hear that. It's disgusting to me. You don't know any better. You are foolish. There's so many stories. There's so many people that have done everything they can to give us what we have right here in freedom of speech, and that's just one of the millions of things that we have that other countries do not. And
Well,
yeah, it's very disrespectful. And yeah, I get out of here, bounce, be out.
I
We'll
think
be
it's
okay without you.
America's got a history of a refuge country. People take refuge from the poor life that they had before. The English came here. The first settlers in America came here to escape the oppressive British rule and taxation. They were taxed out the yin yang, and they had to get away, and they came here to start a new life in a new country. And well, it really wasn't even a country. It wasn't even organized. They were just squatting on Indian land when he came here. And then in the 1920s, Europe was in an upheaval because of World War One. So Polish people, British people, Irish people, Italian people, French people all came to the United States. Mostly it was Irish and Polish people came to the United States to escape World War One and especially World War Two. Huge influx of people coming in. And that's when we decided we got to get organized with admitting immigrants and everything else. We got to have a process in place, a better process than what we have. And, everybody would come to Ellis Island, the home of the Statue of Liberty. And that's where you would get sworn in and all that good stuff as an American citizen. It was all done through paperwork and all that, not through the internet like it is nowadays. But when there's upheaval in other countries, those people want to come here. The influx of people we have right now are people who came in the 70s and 80s from communist Cuba. Oppressive regime of Fidel Castro. He ruled with an iron fist. He wasn't the happy-go-lucky, hey, come on down and visit. Pick up some cigars while you're here. Not a guy like that. He's a mean tyrant. And the Cuban people, they were on mattresses with balloons tied to it, trying to float to America. They were on doors, a
Wow.
door that they just took off their bathroom and used it as a raft to float to America to get away from all that, to have a better life for their families. And now you see it with people from Mexico and El Salvador coming up, trying to escape the cartels, and you have the Muslims coming over, the people of Arabic nations coming over, getting away from the upheaval they have over there and the tyrants that they have running Iraq and Iran. So, well, not Iran, but yeah, not Iraq. I mean Iran. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the Shah of Iran. I'm not the Shah of Iran. The what do you call the guy? The religious leader of Iran. The Ayatollah. The Ayatollah is his name. And it's normal for people to come here, immigrants, for a better life. My point being is They come here, and I don't think a lot of people are disenfranchised or disenchanted with coming to America because of the freedoms that they have here. I think the media plays a big part in that people hate America. They're feeding that to you and to our children, that people who come here hate America so that we get, what's the word I'm looking for? Beaten down. I'm going to use that as a phrase. We feel more beaten down and downtrodden. Always try to keep they want us to have our heads on a swivel. They want us to feel bad about ourselves. They don't want a patriotic fire burning through this country. But we're all patriots. Everybody is. Everybody loves America that I talk to. I've never met anybody who hated it here. And if I ever did, I would say, well, why are you here? See you later.
Amen. Yeah, man. That media, it is, they don't make no money saying good news. So they got to cause up their own drama, and that's what most of the time it is. They're burning down the CNN building. Here's some gas.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, the Warner Brothers Discovery is trying to unload CNN. They're looking for prospective buyers, but nobody wants it because it garners no ratings. If it wasn't on in libraries, municipal buildings, airports, it's on in every airport. You'll never see Fox on in an airport. CNN's got a contract with the government to have it played in all the airports and federal buildings. If it wasn't for that, they'd have no viewership whatsoever. Jeffrey Matthews says, love it or leave it. U.S.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a great American right there. He is a Navy disciple. So, yeah. Thank you for everything you've done for us, Jeff. You are the man, brother. Out of
God bless him.
Huntsville,
God bless him.
Alabama.
Is that where he's
Yeah.
from?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God bless him, man. God bless him. It takes a lot to put your life on a line for a country that, if you listen to the media, doesn't appreciate you whatsoever. But the people do. The American people do. I will say that. It gives you that they're over there. They go overseas to fight for your right to be able to dye your hair blue and put on a dress and call yourself Susie, if you're so inclined. And I will say, with that being said, Coach Troy Taylor is very conspicuous by his absence this morning. Thank you very much.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Anything is possible. I know they just had a scrimmage, so I'm guessing he has watched film for at least, I think the game started at 6, so I would say the game was probably over. The scrimmage was probably over by 8:30. I'm saying he's watched probably 10 hours of film since then. In that short period of time, if there's even 10 hours in it, this guy's been watching film. That's what he does. Yeah, that's what he does. But
when he's on the show, it may seem like with his topics he's all over the place, but everything is in that mind is fine tuned with precision. Well, he's like a when he gets a hold of something, he won't let it go.
Yeah.
So if he wants to win a game, if he loses a game, he ain't gonna let it go until he wins that very next one. He's just gonna keep on cranking away. He's like Dusty Rhodes said, like an old dog with a bone, baby. You try to take that bone away from him, he's gonna bite your kneecap off. He won't
American
let go.
dream.
The American dream. Yes, sir.
One of the greatest of all time, man.
He could talk people into the building. He could talk women's clothes off, that big 400 pounds SOB. We're talking about Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, everybody. One of our favorites when it comes to professional wrestling. Not for what he did in the ring, but for the way he would talk on TV. The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sad. I'm going to get funky like a monkey, baby. I can't do it like Don Wayne can, but...
hard time, baby. Hard time.
I remember when he was feeling bad and he lost a ton of weight, and it was like a WrestleMania documentary they had on TV where he met Maria Menounos, who was the host of, I think, she was on one of those Entertainment Tonight extra type programs.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was on there. And she says, I love you so much. And she's Vince McMahon loves Maria Menounos. Not because she's a good-looking woman, but because she's a hardcore wrestling fan. She knew everybody. She knew stuff that he was commentating on when he was an announcer back in 1979. She knew all the aspects of the WWF/WWE, and she met Dusty Rhodes. And she goes, "I love you so much. You know what one of my favorite things you did on television? When I won the belt." No, 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 no. The Hard Times promo. She recited the Hard Times promo, word for
Wow.
word. And you can find a clip on YouTube. He's there like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Dude, word for word. And on one guy took that clip and put it side by side with Dusty doing it on an episode of NWA. And it was word for word, man. The cadence and everything. At least she didn't do the muffler story. She didn't talk about that. You don't want to hear about the muffler story.
Right.
Have you heard the muffler story?
I don't. Oh yeah. I have. Yeah.
At least you didn't bring that up.
Seen the commercial. It's a commercial, right? No.
Oh no.
This might be off.
You remember a guy? Do you remember a guy named the Barbarian?
Oh yeah.
John Nord. He was Nord the Barbarian.
Nord the Barbarian. Okay, yeah.
What was he in WWE? His
Viking.
He was the Berserker. That's what they call it. The Berserker.
Okay, Berserker.
He had the Bruiser Brody furry boots. He came out with a horned helmet. Huss. Well, when he started, he got hired by the AWA. They were running a building in Chicago. And Vern Gagne was on site directing traffic because they were in the backyard of the Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, the other Sheik. They were doing Chicago, right nearby there. And that was right close to his territory, like 2 miles down the road. Anyway, John Nord walks in the locker room. He's just a big, jacked up, steroided out college kid. And he tried to play it off like he was a tough guy, but he was scared out of his wits because while he's standing there, you've got Dusty Rhodes wrapping up his hands. You've got Larry the Axe Hennig, the father of Mr. Perfect, putting on his tights. You've got Jerry Blackwell, the guy he was built like a tick, a big butterball of a guy, roly-poly guy, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but he was great. You've got, I'm trying to remember, Greg Gagne was there. Just a lot of old school veterans. Wahoo McDaniel was there. And he sees the older guys with toilet paper, and they're wrapping the toilet paper up around their hand. To get a good amount of it on there, about a nice wad, about the size of a bar of soap. And they all wedge the toilet paper in their gluteal cleft, if you know what I'm saying. Yes, they're blocking the floodgate, as we like to say, call it here on Totem Pole Nation. And he's just looking at the corner of his eye, watching all these old guys do this. And he says the reason was generally they're out of shape. They've got a bit of a beer belly. They've partied hard the night before. And they put that in there so there's no accidents.
Well, just in case.
Just in case. That's your muffler. That's your muffler. And so Dusty Rhodes is going to be working with John Nord. So they talk about what's going to happen with the match. He goes, "Johnny, you got your muffler in?" "Oh, that's okay, pal. I don't need a muffler. I don't know what you guys are doing. That's okay. I don't need one." Okay, baby, okay. And they go after the ring. And the finish is Dusty's going to put John Nord over.
Wow.
So, the finish is a pile driver. And for you non-wrestling fans out there, I'll make a long story short. He gets him up and tries to get him in a pile driver. And Dusty Rhodes is so heavy, and he's sweating profusely. And the bodybuilder guys in wrestling oil themselves up. So he was all covered with baby oil, John Nord was. And he's looking, he tries it a second time, he can't do it. And he looks over across the arena by a door that opened up. And it's Vern Gagne, the guy who hired him. He's looking at him like, well? Oh, shit, this son of a bitch is going up. This is what he said. He grabs Dusty Rhodes' tights and pulls him over. He gets a big gouge, a big handful of Dusty Rhodes' gluteus maximus. And he pulls him up, and he drops him down in a pile driver. Unfortunately, Dusty's tights were pulled apart in the back, and the muffler flew up into the air and landed in the ring. And everybody's screaming because it looked like a tampon fell out of Dusty's rear. Look at that. Oh, my God. Oh, what are you guys, gay? Oh, my, it's awful. It was a different time back then, folks. They would call you
Yeah.
the FAGGOT word. They would
Yeah.
yell that out profusely at wrestling matches and ask if you're gay, call you queer, and everything else in the book. And nobody thought anything of it now. But nowadays, you cannot do that at all. Your friend, you might even get taken out of some shows, especially pay-per-views if you're doing that. But John Nord starts to gag like he's going to lose his lunch. And he does whatever he tells the ref, we're going home. Covers Dusty Rhodes. As the refs counting 3, you just hear Dusty looking up at the light saying, "Oh, Big Johnny, my muffler fell out." So always keep your muffler in.
Oh man, that's the life lesson of the day right there.
Always keep your
Holy
muffler
cow.
in. He said the muffler looked like a sunrise. A little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue, a little bit of brown. It was all
Wow.
there. Yeah. It wasn't pretty.
John Nord, man, what a
Yeah.
guy. I remember he had a couple commercials that you can find on YouTube where he was actually, I guess, at a car dealership
He
and
was
he's
selling used
body
cars.
slamming. Oh man, and he
He
body slams the guy, busts the window and everything, man.
he had a big time crack problem when that's why he got bounced out of the WWF
Wow.
because of that. And he had a hard time finding work because he was seriously messed up on crack. And he straightened himself up now, though. But when he was getting cleaned up, nobody would hire him. So he said, well, I've got to sell cars. He knew somebody, and they got him a job at a car dealership. He was selling cars. Then he started to get some indie dates, you know what I mean? So he still wrestled occasionally and was a full-time used car salesman. So he was probably working for the dealership that you saw him do the commercial for, I guess. But
Yeah, I know he was a badass football player as well.
he was a big boy, man. That guy was enormous. That guy was enormous.
Yeah.
I see him from time to time on YouTube on some podcasts talking about the old days. And he's one, I saw him with no teeth, which is probably a product of meth and crack. And then
Oh
the next
wow.
time I saw him, he had a whole row of piano keys in. A nice big
Oh
mouthful of
nice.
chiclets. Yeah, he looked
Heck
like he was
yeah,
in good
man.
shape. I said, damn, Johnny, you got him fixed. Good for you. So,
Yeah, I tell you what, those AWA days, that was one of the first things growing up as a young wrestling fan, man. It was great because back then, the 4-letter network ESPN used to have AWA on. They would have Global Force Wrestling on later on, World Class Wrestling. And I remember the Road Warriors, they got, one of their early pushes was in AWA. And I'll
right.
never forget that moment where it was Baron von Raschke and Henning versus the Road Warriors, and Kurt got twisted up in the ropes, and Larry came down, and man, Larry was a freaking monster. They called him the Axe, and when you see this guy in person, man, he was a big time stud. Not a guy you're gonna see at the bar and be like, this dude looks like a chump. No, you're gonna see
No.
this guy at the bar and say, sir, how are you?
Can I buy
Make
you a
sure he's
beer,
on your
sir?
team. Can I buy you a beer, sir? Amen. Amen.
Yeah, those guys were tough. Those
Yeah,
guys were
yeah.
tough. They were
And
leaders, locker room leaders.
Stan Hansen, he was another one that I believe was there early and as well.
If you think about it, so many people, so many big names came through the AWA. They all
Rockers.
gravitated there. Yeah, the Rockers got their start there. They were the Midnight Rockers.
Hmm.
And they fought Bad Company. Well, in the documentary, Dark Side of the Ring the other night. They fought Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka. They were Bad Company. And they came out to the song Bad Company. It was pretty cool. And then they did a stint with WWE. And Vince goes, how come you're not Asian, pal? He said to Paul Diamond. Well, I don't know. So they put a mask on Paul Diamond and called him
Yeah.
Kato. And
Hmm.
I think they were the Orient Express and WWF. Tanaka and Paul Diamond. I'm surprised he hired Tanaka. Tanaka was so short, but he
And
usually liked big guys.
That's the thing too, Johnny. Around that same era, that WrestleMania, first started, dude. They had that Russell Rock thing around the same time. They could have
Mm-hmm.
even came up with the gimmick first, and Vince twisted it and made it right into WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Because they even had that Wrestle Rock song that was just brutally terrible, but funny now if you watch it. Yeah, it's the Wrestle Rock. It's the Wrestle Rock. Yeah, man. I remember that. I remember that. Uh, they did, man. They did right around that same time. They had this whole Wrestle Rock kind of gimmick in AWA, and I think they were doing their pay per view event there in Las Vegas. Yeah, what a great place to have the Midnight Rockers at, right? Las Vegas, Nevada.
I'm surprised it was still standing after those two
Yeah,
got done with it.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that the Rockers or the Midnight Rockers in whatever iteration, they were like rock stars. They were pretty boys. They were dressed like rock and rollers, like they were in a hair band. And all the women loved them, and all the men wanted to fight them.
Yeah, very true. That is
Yeah.
very true.
Have you seen
Yeah.
the problems Mike Pence has been having trying to get this campaign of his started? You're talking about leaders. He did a campaign ad where he's talking about gas prices, and it shows him pulling up to a gas pump, and he doesn't know how to operate the pump. Have you seen
Wow.
that?
Nope. I think I saw where he's pulling up to a pump. He's got a red truck, and that was good
Yes.
enough for me. I was on to the next channel.
So
That's the one.
he puts the nozzle in. He doesn't go over to the pump except to pull the nozzle out, and he unscrews his gas cap and puts the nozzle in. You just hear doot 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 doot, meaning, hey, you got to pay for it, and then you got to pick a pump. You got to pick an octane. He has no clue. The whole recording of the campaign ad, that thing's going off in the background, and no one picked it up. And they released it. They put it out there on social media, and he's being ridiculed resoundingly over that. This is a guy who was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. He had a town hall at somewhere down here in Florida for the Republican candidates. Everyone sans Trump, and the Trump wasn't he couldn't make it. So they were all there. And he asked, Tucker Carlson asked Mike Pence, he did like a little mini interview with each one of them, a one-on-one. And make a long story short, again, he says, well, how do you guys feel about all this money that's going to the Ukraine when there are people in the United States who are homeless? There's a open border where all this fentanyl's coming into the country. Years ago, it was heroin coming into the country. Now it's fentanyl. And, it's the border is just like a sieve, letting people in. And our infrastructure, our roads are falling apart in this country. He said, that's none of my concern. Mike Pence said that. It slipped out. He goes, that's none of my concern. The Ukraine people, blah, blah, blah. And everyone went, whoa. And that's when he started sliding down in the polls. Mike Pence, he barely registered on the polls. And now he's out there trying to prove he's a common man. Shades of George Bush when George Bush went to a grocery store and tried to pay for his stuff and didn't realize how much a gallon of milk cost. He thought a gallon of milk was $1. He thought a loaf of bread was 75 cents.
Yeah.
People are so out of touch, man. Our leaders are so out of touch. That's the end of my political rant for the day, folks.
Yeah, I saw something the other day, and have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Jocko Willink?
Yes.
You've heard of him?
Yes.
Somebody had posed the question to him, like if everybody, was asking you to step up to the plate, you know, could we count on you type deal. And you know what he said? He said, I love America. That would be, if I could choose any individual, just because I've learned so much from his shows, from his books, from his children books. I've read these children's books to my grandkids, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I have the whole catalog. They're all going to know it.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of being in my family. If you're a young kid, you're going to read this book. or we won't pass you. But
Right.
yeah, he he would be the one that I think would be phenomenal. You're talking about a Navy SEAL commando that's kind of seen it from all angles. That's the type of leadership that I believe we need. You know,
Well,
and that we're
the
just
problem,
not getting.
the next leader of this country is going to face, and I hope it's not the current leader of the country. The problem the next leader of the country is going to face is not knowing who to trust. Everyone's got an agenda. Everyone takes a side. It's either on this side or you're on this side. And there's some opportunists that are in the middle, strictly out for themselves to make money in political
Yeah,
office or working for a politician. But who do you trust? And in the last presidential run of Donald Trump, he had a hard time trying to figure out, well,
yeah,
why would this guy who I'm friends with, even I donated to his campaigns 20, 30 years ago, why would this guy try to screw me over? And the guys he did donate to their campaigns 30 years ago, and guys that he did hire into his cabinet, and political appointees of his did screw him over because he thought they could be trusted. If you're just coming in from the private sector, like a Jocko Willink would, you're running a country on your gut feeling, your gut instincts, and that's hard. So whoever comes in, you're going to have a time of it. You're going to have very, very, very trusted people gut the entire administration, everyone who works in the White House, hire everybody for new positions. That's the only thing you can't do. And it's just terrible. It's terrible. Everybody's got an agenda, man. Everybody's in it to make money. They're not in it for the betterment of society or of this country. So, but everyone knows that. All the American people know it. It just is what it is. I
without a
say
doubt.
leaders should be elected through tribal combat. That's the way we should do it in this country now. Let them fight it out. That gets rid of all
Amen.
your 60-year-olds, your 70-year-olds, your 90 years old, year olds in office. The tough will survive.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's so sad seeing, some of these puppets out here that are 80 years old and can't even put a sentence together. It's
Our,
it's 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 sad. It's a sad state that we're in. But, hey, that's what's gonna be that's gonna be great news. You know what I mean? That makes for a great news story. Like,
right.
man, we could really turn this story into, you know, any type of way. We could twist this story and put it in front of the American people, and they're just gonna be sitting there with their popcorn, just eating it up.
Well, one went down over the weekend. Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California who was missing for a long period of time. They said she had dementia. She wound up having a stroke. They denied the fact that she had a stroke, even though the left side of her face is droopy and she's going to get around on a wheelchair because her legs aren't strong enough to support her. And when she was going to vote on a critical issue in the Senate the other day, she forgot how to vote. She started doing a little soliloquy on why she's voting the way she's voting, when all you have to do is go to the microphone and say aye or nay. And Miss Feinstein, just say aye. Just say aye. One of her advisors came up and said that on a live mic, and she said aye. And they wheeled her off. She recently fell down in the last few days, and they had to take her to the hospital because she tried to walk without getting around in the wheelchair, and she did a header and fell down and hurt herself.
Oof.
So, Mitch McConnell, I mean, you've seen the clips. It was all
Yeah,
over Twitter where he's like doing a little impromptu press conference. He comes out to say something. And I'd just like to say,
yeah.
he froze up like the internet would freeze up when you're talking to me. He just froze up and looked around. And they said, okay, Mitch, it's time to go. It's time to go. Somebody came over mercifully after about 2 minutes and put the arm around him and escorted him off. He couldn't talk. He just locked up. That's another one that had a stroke, and they're trying to cover it up. They don't want to seem weak. when we're going into a new election cycle with the president. So, who's next? Joe?
Yeah, man.
They probably
There's
got
some
Joe
dinosaurs.
they got Joe pumped up with the best drugs money can buy to keep him
I
going.
bet.
Oh,
I bet.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're so good, they make you change your eye colors from blue to brown,
Blue to
right?
brown. That's right. That's right. It's unbelievable. But who wants President Kamala? Does anybody really want to see that? President
Tell you,
Kamala
man,
Harris.
I haven't seen hardly anything. Like they don't post anything with her at all
No,
anymore.
no,
Like she's invisible.
no. Because that's a millstone hanging around the Biden presidency, hanging around the neck of that presidency is Kamala Harris. You just thinking if he drops dead, we got her.
Yeah.
We're never going to make that. We're never going to survive that deal. But then again, you can't tell me that he's making any conscious decisions either. Well, he made one to run. He just announced he just announced in public that he was going to run for president. It wasn't a planned thing. They may say it was, but he just blurted that out, and they went with it. That's what's running the country right now, folks. It's run
I
by
saw
run by
I did
committee.
I don't know if you saw this, but I saw it might just be rumor, but it said DeSantis fired his campaign manager. Did you hear
He
anything like
did.
that?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, because he's polling so badly. He's polling so badly with his own party because
Yeah.
he he started demeaning Trump in interviews and on the campaign trail, and that's why he pissed off a lot of his base in the Republican Party and with conservatives and even moderates in general, people who are down the middle of the road, neither Republican or Democrat. He pissed off a lot of those voters too because a lot of them like Trump. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But they all had to sign papers yesterday, all the candidates, saying they will back whoever is the nominee. You have to sign an affidavit for that now, promising that you'll back the nominee, whoever it may be, in public appearances and interviews. So
Let me ask you this, Johnny.
yeah,
Has politics always been uh, as put on the front page? Has it always been like this? Because I'm trying to think like in the in the 90s and the 2000s. I mean, I was just getting out of school, so I wasn't watching any news. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Has it always kind of been like this, or has it really been more thrown in your face these days than ever?
It's more thrown in your face these days than ever because back in the day you had newspapers and you had broadcast television. Not cable TV, broadcast television in the early 70s and the 60s when I was a kid growing up. That's how you got your news. Walter Cronkite, man, you sat down and listened to Walter Cronkite. He was an old, kindly Wilford Brimley style, authoritative, bass voiced pundit who would get on TV and recite the news. And whether it was editorial content in there, whether he would throw in the copy that he's reading, what he felt, we don't know. We only had what he said to go by. Or you could switch to another network and talk to, I forgot who was, Huntley and Brinkley. Chet Huntley and David Brinkley were on the NBC Evening News. Big program. And that, at the time, was the number one program. Two guys would sit there in black and blue suits with the Burl cream in their hair and just rifle off the news to you. But you were getting a lot of their own personal political commentary in that, and you didn't know it. You had no idea. So they were shaping the way people thought through television broadcasts. Nowadays, it's in everyone's hand. This little personal computer is in everyone's hand, and there's all these other alternative outlets out there where you can get the real news. Hopefully, it's real news from reputable sources. You got to vet your sources just like you would vet a potential date, girlfriend, or whatever, a boyfriend. Vet your sources and find out who's going to tell you the truth and who's not, who's right on the button and who's not right on the button. So the reason why you're getting hammered with it nowadays on TV and radio is because of social media and the internet. You got, hey, we got this valve is trickling in information into your brain. That's us. We're the news media. We're dropping that knowledge into your head. Oh, what's this? Oh, there's a tsunami of info coming in through the internet, through the cell towers, through your Wi-Fi, inundating you through your computer, through your phone. You can open up an email nowadays, and if you clicked on the wrong website, you'll say, "Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Subscribe, contribute to my campaign." You'll get an email like that, and they're hammering you over. They're hitting you over the head with it. I mean, hey, we're talking about politics now, so
Yeah.
it's a different time. The news media has adapted to what's going on, and that's why you're getting beaten over the head. And they say that's not enough. The people that really run this planet say that's not enough. Put it in their entertainment too. Put it in their entertainment. A lot of movies are political. A lot of movies have opinions about the sexual configuration of the
Notice
population.
that.
Yes,
Yep. Notice
there's
that.
a lot of that going on. If you watch TV nowadays, you would think that 75% of this country is gay. You would. You would think 75% of the country is gay, or 25% of the country is looking to have something chopped off. It is what it is. That's their agenda right now. That's what they're trying to push. And there's a
Yeah.
reason why they're trying to push that. So,
Yeah, it's scary stuff, man. Scary stuff. I remember like the first time that I really like started seeing more, politics and them, doing little clips was I remember GW George Bush had went on there and it's like, you fool me once, shame on you. You fool me twice, shame on you. You remember that one?
yes. Yes, and oh man, they really beat him up over that.
Oh
Oh
man,
my god.
like he looks like a brain surgeon compared to the clips we're seeing these days,
Oh
right?
yeah. He looks like a tap dancing brain surgeon. This guy will never fall over.
Hmm.
Never. George Bush looked like the picture of health compared to the guy we have right now. But
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that's another guy who had that. He called everything nuclear instead of nuclear, like it had
Yeah.
two U's in it. And his big moment was right after 9/11, he went and toured the site, and someone yelled out in the crowd they got what they wanted George to do, what they wanted this country to do. I hear you, and I think he said, and we're going to take care of it. We're going to get him, and that was like his watershed moment as a president, where he solidified the fact that he's the leader of this country, and he's not going to take any S, and he will do what he says he did, what he say he's going to do, and he's going to get the guys responsible for the whole thing. Whether you believe it or not, folks, there's a subset of the people out there on the internet who think it was an inside job of 9/11, but something that's like that on such a grand scale would be hard to pull off. But then again, look what they've done to us the last 3 years. Who knows? Who knows what's reality anymore? We could all be in the Matrix, Coach. We could all be laying on a slab somewhere, wires plugged into the base of our skulls. Like Troy Taylor
Definitely.
probably is right now, getting all the information from his computer about the football team he's facing this weekend.
That sounds like a good podcast for Mr. Biggs. Mr. Biggs Mafioso. I'm sure he's got some inside information on on that conspiracy theory, without a doubt.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Big, he's going to crank it out. I guarantee he's going to pop off with something, and it's good content. Good content he's got going.
Yeah, without a doubt. I got to get to Vegas. It's been over 10 years since I've been out there. I want to see how it looks. Our favorite place used to be a place called Bill's Gambling Saloon. It was just a small little spot right there, right off the main strip.
Mm-hmm.
and that was the place. I don't know if I told you, but like towards the back of the back, the casino area, they had this little door, and it was actually a restaurant, Italian restaurant. They pull the table out, they sit you in, and man, it was one of those where you're just like, how did they have this in this place? You know what I mean? Like you would never think that. And and yeah, and it was just a fun gambling saloon. It was a place where, all the table games were $5. They weren't trying to, $50 minimums and stuff like this. And one of their best entertainment venues that they had is they had Big Elvis perform. And I mean, I'm telling you, he was everything that Elvis Presley was, just a bigger version, probably a 300-pound version. He had stories, he'd story tell, and then he would sing a song, and man, he had the moves, and it was uh, it was a great place. I hated seeing that place torn down for sure. Bill's Gambling Saloon. He's
Remember
had
that,
some
folks,
stories about it.
on your next Vegas junket. Remember Bill's Gambling Saloon.
Yeah, ask
Stop
him
by and
about
say hi to Big Elvis.
it. He's still got to be out there somewhere. I mean,
I'm
that
sure
guy's
he
a
is.
he's a phenomenon. But I guess we'll wrap this thing up, man. I'll give a shout out to the sponsors. Cultivate Wellness. Check out their website. We'll deliver it right to your door. Plenty of amazing products to help you live a better life. You having issues with headaches, you can't sleep well, your stomach is messed up. Go see Julia on the Turnpike. She'll take good care of you. Go in store. She'll be there. Sideline Design. I mean, look at all the colleges that are jumping on board with these guys. These guys are changing the game, and we are so excited for everything that they have done for us so far and what's going to go on in the future. I could see some awesome designs that they create for us being on some T-shirts that we are going to be putting out. So excited about that, and a huge shout out to St. Pete Rejuvenate. If you're suffering from massive depression, chronic pain, anxiety, PTSD, give us a shout. The ketamine infusions have been a humongous game changer. For some reason, I don't know, they're not insuring it, probably because it really works and they make a lot more money off of their Prozac and all these other terrible pharmaceuticals that they have you putting in your body. But give us a shout. We'll take good care of you. And a huge shout out to the SCM, the Squared Circle Maniacs. The podcast will be back in action 4 o'clock on Sunday. I cannot wait. There's been a lot of good action to talk about. And, the whole Marty Jannetty deal. I can't wait to see what you guys have in store for that show, without a doubt.
Yep. Talking about Vince, talking about his the raid that was conducted on his house, talking about spinal surgery, talking about Marty Jannetty. We'll have a wrestler of the week, an old school wrestler of the week. I think it's going to be somebody from the Mid South territory. We're going to be looking at
Nice.
all the TV shows of the week: Monday Night Raw, Wednesday Night Dynamite, NXT, uh, AEW Collision. Talk a little bit more
Yeah.
maybe about SummerSlam, what's going on in the WWE with the Endeavor takeover. The company that owns the UFC is now purchased the WWE. It's going to be finalized beginning of September. So look for a lot of cross pollination there. They already said they're going to have some MMA stars gravitate over to WWE rings, a la Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. So that should be interesting,
Nice.
especially if Ronda Rousey, as rumored, is going to make a UFC return. That should be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And Motorhead is going to be debuting a new feature, the metal album of the week. He's going to talk about one of
Oof.
his favorite classic rock albums. So a lot of the classic rock songs back in the day were entrance music for wrestlers. Doing it on the indie circuit, they didn't have to worry about paying royalties. No one would find out. So someone could come out with "Hit Me to Your Best Shot," "Freebird." In fact, the Freebirds used to come out the Freebird until Leonard Skinner said, until they went national, Leonard Skinner said, nah, yeah, we'll all this.
You
We'll all
better
this.
Johnny Manziel us.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Amen.
And
And also, I always like how Motorhead will put a book of the week. So hopefully, maybe he can continue that. He always
yes, he
drops a
said
gem on you guys.
he does have one. He's got a book of the week.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
Motorhead's got. I think he told me 4,500 albums, actual vinyl albums of all
Wow.
classic rock. We were talking about it last night. I mean, he goes way back in what he's got. He's got some albums from when he was a teenager. So he just collects it. He just loves. In that little man cave you see him in when we do
Oh,
the
I was just
podcast.
about to talk about that.
Yes, that's where he puts all the stuff that he likes and enjoys, and goes out there to the man cave to like and enjoy all his music, and cranks it up and watches his wrestling videos and things like that. So yeah,
That is cool. Amen. I need to get just a room view of that, man. That looks like a good place to go once you're feeling great on like a Friday evening or a good Saturday,
hmm
evening after a good day of day drinking. Go in that place, and I'm sure you'll just have stories oozing out.
absolutely. He
Looks like a party.
maybe we ought to do a classic rock podcast down here on Totem Pole Nation. Just talk about the
Uh,
old artists and the old albums and the people who paved the way for
Amen.
who we
That'd
have
be
now.
great. Heck
Yeah,
yeah, man. Absolutely. And I think we're in the talks of a fantasy football
you did mention
podcast
that.
as well. So
Yeah,
that'll be fun. A lot of stuff going on here at Totem Pole Nation. Let us know what you like. Go subscribe. You can find us everywhere. Johnny Bottles on Twitter, Coach Baldwin on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook. And so yeah, man, we're not that hard to find. But yeah, go to Totem Pole Nation, subscribe, comment, like us, hate us, just keep watching. Keep watching. Take us out, Johnny.
all right, guys. So ends another exciting broadcast of Life Lessons. Tune in tomorrow because the grind includes Friday, as a wise
Ooh,
man once said. This guy right over here once said, the
let's see here.
grind includes.
Let me go here. Let me go here. Can't get to
There you go. Too sweet. There we go. Perfect.
you. There
Perfect.
you have it.